Hi, welcome to Real Talk with Sterling Real Estate Group. Today, I'm excited to have one of our agents, Bryon Phelps, here. And Bryon's going to be talking about would you actually make money flipping houses? So let's get into it. How would you get in the flipping houses, and what would your very first flip look like?
I don't think I would change anything if I did it again. When I did it, I was working a full-time job and I did it as something on the side. It's a really hard thing to dive in feet first. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of nuances to the ups and downs of revenue that comes with that business.
Were you prepared for some of these?
Yes, I mean, the way we approached it was related to doing it as a side thing and ramping it up to where I felt I could go full time doing it.
Okay.
And so I had a job backing that up at the time, and then
Right.
you take that leap, and there was plenty of ups and plenty of downs,
Yeah.
and, you sorta but you try to do enough that you even level it out.
Right. Right.
To do it as a full-time thing, you have to either have grand slams or you have to just have a lot of volume.
And you were at that point doing that.
A little bit of both at different
Yeah. Yeah.
times.
How long did it take you to get to that little bit higher volume of doing the flip?
As a part-time, probably 2.5 to 3 years.
Okay. What's the most amount of houses you did in 1 year?
I think, the most I did in 1 year was 17, I believe, which was a lot, yeah, and I wasn't doing the work. We had people, contractors. You have sort of a
Right.
whole crew of trusted people that help make that happen.
But you still have to follow up and make sure everything's being
Yeah.
done right.
Yes, and stay on top of it to make sure the timing is quick enough.
17 houses in 1 year.
17 houses, yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I hope you guys are paying attention so you can follow in Brian's footsteps. Bryon, so I love this. The HGTV effect,
Yeah.
where it takes them 24 hours to flip a house. Everyone sees the flipping on HGTV and thinks it's easy. What's the biggest misconception people have about house flipping?
I feel like there's a disconnect between real life and TV there. I think when people see what they're doing on TV, it's this glamorous, "Oh, we're gonna update everything,"
Right. Mhm.
everything is gonna be tile and quartz and all high-end everything. But the reality is in the market that you're in, it might not support that.
Right.
A lot of HGTV shows are in California, so spending $100,000 on a flip for a multi-million-dollar house is fine. Spending $100,000 on a $200,000 house just doesn't really work.
The numbers don't make sense.
They don't make sense.
Yeah.
It's very easy to fall in love with the flip and say, "Oh, I wanna do this. I wanna make it look like this." But at the end of the day, you need to always be sure that the numbers line up with the goal.
The goal, right.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about that, in
Yeah.
a little bit, how you evaluate. But I do have a question for you. Was there a flip that you've ever done that you didn't want to sell? You want to keep it for yourself?
Yes. Yes.
Are you living there now?
No, no, I never did. I'm still in the house I was in when I started. I've done less work on the house that I live in
Right.
since I started
Yeah, of
working on
course.
houses.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, actually, and it was oddly enough, I had transitioned for a couple of years to doing a lot of the work, like scaled back and did a lot of the work myself. And so there was a house we had in a local town of Round Lake, and I just fell in love with that house. We had done so much work, and it was at the time, the most significant rehab we had ever done. It ended up being a full gut. We
Remember that.
restructured the layout and the floor plan,
Wow.
and, it still needed cosmetic things outside. It needed landscaping and everything else, but the house was this really old house, and it had so much character, and it was in a great spot,
Right.
and I joked constantly about, "We should buy this house,"
Yeah.
and a number of people I knew, I was like, "You should buy this house,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I still think about that one all the time.
So that one sticks with you.
That's the
I
one,
think
yeah.
I remember that. That was a
Yeah.
couple years back, right? Maybe
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
years back.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, I remember that. And
Yeah.
I've seen your work. I've seen your work.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah. Learned a
Impressive.
lot of things at that house.
Well, I'm sure, yeah. Well, if you're reconfiguring floor plans and all of
Yeah.
that, how long did that take you?
Uh, that that took me a year, almost exactly a year,
Wow.
and it was kind of happenstance how it happened because at the time I had my license, but I was sort of looking for jobs transitioning back, like scaling back the flips
Right.
in the position that we were in, and, I went in there. Oddly enough, I had my dad to help me out. He came, he had retired, and
Dad to the rescue.
we said, "Hey, I said, you want to help me? We're just going to clean this out and get it ready for contractors because the contractors we were using um, they were busy on other
Busy,
projects. So we
right.
said, let's get the clean out stuff done so when they come, they can get into it. And not a week into that clean out, we had a huge, never saw this sort of
Oh,
thing. We had a crawl space that was completely deteriorated, and we ended up having to jack the house and
those are the
do all this
things, the
work.
unexpected things that
Absolutely.
come with it.
Yes. And so then you're sort of scrambling to figure out how are we going to do this? And the answer was, I'm going to do it. And he helped me through that project, which was a lot of fun. And
Working side by side with your dad.
yeah, absolutely. And we had our sort of crew of contractors that we've had through the years that come in on various parts to
Right.
support, but we did so much of that, and it was it was a lot of fun. But
Did
yeah,
he like it?
yeah, I mean, we left that and we did couple more
You
together.
did?
So yeah, so that's
Before
fun.
dad retired and you have him back
That's
out
right.
in the
That's
field.
right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's all right, that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's,
it's great.
good father and son bonding for sure.
Yeah,
Let me see here. So let's go to when you're evaluating a flip, which kind of ties right into that unexpected
right,
having to jack the house.
right.
When you're evaluating a flip, what numbers matter the most and what are you looking for before you even make an offer?
Always wanna see it. I
Oh,
always
yeah.
wanna see the house. I'm not necessarily looking at the paint, I'm not necessarily looking at the finishes, a little bit of that. Always, sort of assessing the major components, the roof, your plumbing systems, your electrical. Do you have to replace your whole electrical system? When it comes to the numbers, the 3 obvious ones are how much is it gonna cost me to buy it?
Mhm.
How much is it gonna cost me to renovate it? And what do I think I can sell it for? If you stop there, you're hoping to break even because there's a lot of carrying costs,
Right.
insurance, if you're financing it, interest on your financing, whatever those financing conditions are, the payments with that. And then, of course, the renovations and managing that cash flow. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of great products out there that allow people to sort of cash flow through a renovation without having to have all the money necessary to
Right.
do it.
Right.
But that's still a big task to manage that because if you get too in front of it, you can get stopped up pretty quickly.
Yeah. And you have to be careful. Yeah. I mean, I think you
Absolutely.
really need to know what you're doing. Do you ever do inspections when you're buying a flip? Like a septic, if someone has a septic,
Yeah.
in our field, if you're representing a buyer and there's a septic system and they're like, "I wanna waive inspections." We're like, "Don't waive septic."
Doing home inspections and
Mhm.
now, being an agent and investing in real estate,
Right.
if I'm working with buyers, always
For
inspect,
a flip.
just in general,
Yeah,
just
oh, yes.
always do
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
As someone who has done that amount of work and has an idea of what I'm looking at walking into a
Mhm.
house, the only things I require inspections to close are septic and well. The
Smart.
things that I
Yeah.
can't, hey, the water's flowing in the house, but maybe there's some other issue.
Right.
And
Right.
the septic, I've found
Those are big
not
fixes.
not as like a problem, but we found in cases where people have been living there assuming no problem that when we have them inspected, half the leach field's caved in and it's
Right.
just supporting them because it's, they
1 or 2
downsize.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so when those things don't align, that's where it's a big surprise. But those are the hardest to see.
Right. Right.
So
So always septic.
always septic. If
Always
there's
septic.
if there's a question, I mean, I'm no expert on basements. Sometimes I see cracks and I recognize that it's not necessarily an issue
A
or
structural,
a
right. It's
structural
just
thing.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it's big enough that it could potentially affect the price, then we'll call someone in to look at it. But other than that, a general home inspection, I don't
You
usually
don't yeah, because
concern
you're just so
myself with.
well versed now looking at it.
Right, right.
Yeah,
But that
but
just goes with your experience level.
right, right,
I think my experience as a home inspector guides what I know
right.
the pitfalls of selling it.
Yes,
So
yeah. So you're looking at both sides,
yes,
which is good to analyze
right.
if you're gonna have any type of return on this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a funny situation when you're selling as a standard homeowner
Right,
and you're selling to a buyer, and they can run into things, and you can sort of negotiate. I do want to do this. I don't want to do this. But you're under a different microscope when they see that it's owned by a LLC or a
right,
business and are assuming it's a flip. And so those things in my mind become sort of non-negotiable.
right.
So when the
Yep.
inspector goes through, I don't want them to find hey, this isn't okay, or this
Right,
doesn't look like it
right,
was done right. It could have been that way when I bought it, but now I feel somewhat of the burden to fix it
Right.
so that
Right.
the reflection of what we're selling is what it should be.
Right. Well, that's because you take pride in your work.
Right. Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay, the risk in today's market. Heading in the 2026, well, we're not heading, we are in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the biggest risk flippers need to be aware of, and what can kill a flip deal?
So just relating back to some of the things we've already talked
Mhm.
about, not understanding your carrying costs and not moving quick enough. If you fall in love with that house and you end up spending 3, 4, 5 months longer than you anticipated, the market can plateau, it can change. And so the price that you originally had in your numbers that said, hey, this is what makes this a success can change overnight. It can make your listing drag on longer if you're trying to get a certain price.
Right.
And so really it's just moving. You want to try to exit the market in as close to the market you entered as you possibly can. And we all know things can change in
Right.
3 months, 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say, a quick flip is 3 months. In an ideal, where you're just doing some cosmetic things, maybe a couple major repairs.
Right.
So
Right. So, how much money, if someone wanted to start flipping houses,
yeah.
how much money do you think they need to have on hand, liquid, to go in and buy a house and, let's say, paint, floors, kitchen, roof?
A little bit, it's a little loaded depending on who you
Yeah.
get connected with. A lot
Mhm.
when you build a great relationship with some of these lenders out there that do these fix and flip loans,
Right.
it decreases the amount you need to be comfortable. I say to be comfortable because
Eh,
it doesn't necessarily decrease it. You always want the more you have, the better.
right. Right.
Um, I would say in the area, for $250,000 houses, having $100,000 available to you for purchasing for renovations is probably
Mm.
a reasonable spot. Yeah.
Okay.
And that obviously a million factors can come into
Yeah.
play
You
there.
start ripping things out and you're like,
Yes.
oh, look at that.
Yes.
Um, have you ever over improved a flip that maybe you didn't get your money back on? Or have you've just been successful throughout your entire flipping career?
No, no. The first flip was probably one of the ones I regret the most, which is odd, but, we bought a great house, a house that was in a market that we usually don't buy
Okay.
houses in. The
Right.
distressed houses don't come out of these higher end markets
Mhm.
usually. I don't wanna say they don't exist, they just the houses we would look at didn't typically come from those types of markets.
Right.
And so we had a high end one, and we didn't really understand what those numbers looked like or what our buyer pool looked like. And we could have turned around. It was the situation. I don't exactly recall the situation. It was someone living there by themselves in this big 4-bedroom colonial house. And it was probably in the same condition as when they bought it,
When
when
they
it was
bought it.
built.
So dated,
It
all the
was
original.
not horribly outdated, but not modern that people would look for potentially in that neighborhood
Right.
or market. And we tried to do those updates. And in hindsight, probably broke we didn't break even, we made money on it. But
Right.
the way I look at it in my mind now is if we had just sold it as it was at a discount for the renovations it needed,
Right.
we would have done as well as we did and probably hit a much larger audience, that would have been
Right.
able to afford that, um, than what we did, which is we did all the updates and then listed it at a higher price, and it ended up taking a lot longer than
A
we
lot
expected
longer.
to sell.
Yeah. How was the market then? How long ago was that?
That was in tw that was in 2016, actually.
Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
going back almost 10 years
Yeah.
now, and,
Yeah.
the market was good then. I remember we got a lot of traction,
Mhm.
but like I said, I didn't anticipate that sort of, for the area it was in, the cost of that
Right.
house was such a small pool,
Right.
and, yeah, it just didn't really.
So, really, I mean, if someone calls you and
Mm,
says, "Brian, I wanna get into flipping.
mhm,
Can you help me find something you're well versed, you're gonna know what to look at?" I mean, the buyer, right, needs to understand and be educated on the area,
mhm.
what they think they can get, not, "Oh, look at this, I can put all this money in, and I know I'm gonna get X." We know that's really not realistic. You're looking at it for the area that it's in and what that area can sustain,
That's right.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of probably research that you had to start, and I'm sure there were things that you learned as
Yeah.
along that you went along the way.
Yep.
Is there anything there that I might have missed,
With
that would
starting,
absolutely kill a deal, that would kill a flip deal?
I think the 2 biggest ones are not planning your carrying cost long enough and over renovating.
Okay,
They're both financial, but in this scenario of flipping is a, bottleneck that can trap you,
right,
because if you don't have the right money to lead the next thing, you can't keep the money flowing, or if you don't have enough to pay that next thing, it puts a stop on that
everything.
contract, it puts a stop on everything.
Yeah.
And, once you spend over on the renovation that you may or may not have needed to do, now you're limiting the money you might have available for those
Something
carrying
else.
costs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So someone going out to do their first flip really should you suggest that they work with someone that like yourself that knows what they're doing to kinda guide them the first time through?
Yeah, I don't think partnering with someone could be understated, and
Mhm,
that doesn't have to be financially. We had guides that had been doing it for years in the system that we were doing it in, and so there was a lot of guidance that was happening,
which is good.
which
Yeah,
is excellent
yeah,
because there are those little things always around. I mean, been in real estate for however many
yeah.
years, and any agent can tell you that every single deal is different,
Yes,
and
yeah.
it's no different with flipping. Every house is a new surprise, a new set of challenges.
Surprise.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you gotta love
Hopefully
those.
good surprises.
Alright, we're gonna do a speed round.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hardwood or LVP floors for flips?
LVP products are really great these days for turnaround time. I would say LVP.
Okay,
If you have hardwood and can refinish them, do it every time.
okay. Alright. So don't rip up the hardwood and put in
Don't rip them up.
okay,
But
alright.
if they're not quite savable or in your budget,
Out they
LVP
go.
for 9 for now is fine. Yeah.
Okay. Paint it white or add character?
Limited character. I I used to go white and neutrals.
Mhm.
I just like giving the place a little more life these days, but it's not wild colors. They're somewhat,
Right.
muted tones, but
Subtle. That
yes.
will okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Buy the ugliest house or the outdated one?
Yes. I think
Yes,
I
yes
think
to
I
both.
think both.
Okay.
In some cases they're the same, in some cases they aren't. One of the worst houses I had ever walked into was the nicest house from the outside. It had everything updated, the windows, the roof, the siding. I said, "Wow, this is great." And I went inside and there weren't stairs to the basement. And so that was a big renovation, but
Right,
not the ugliest house, but
right.
in a lot of cases they're the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So, alright. That makes sense. Where do you splurge? Where do you splurge at when you're doing a flip?
The kitchens and bathrooms.
Okay.
It's always if I could do tile, I like to do tile. I think it shows really well.
On the floors or backsplash kitchen or both?
So in the kitchen, the splurge is the backsplash. If I can do the backsplash, I've gotten creative with backsplashes.
Mhm.
I really like a tile backsplash. And the counters. I think the counters are an easy place that, when you're renovating your own house seems very expensive.
Right.
But I think when you're doing a complete kitchen rehab, the added cost in counters can really swing the wow factor when
Wow
you walk
factor.
into a house.
Right. That's not where you're gonna scale back on money.
Right.
It's on the counters.
Right.
What color typical of a kitchen? So, cabinets, are you white?
On
Uh,
on flips, pretty much do white.
okay,
We have tested the waters a couple times with
right,
some two-tone things, maybe a different island, but when you're flipping, as much as you'd like to put character, I think it's important that you're reaching the widest audience and staying in line with selling it as fast as you can.
right. And that can go real you
People can
just put your own pops of color in too.
exactly.
Yeah,
People can paint the kitchen whatever color they want if the cabinets are white,
right.
but if you use certain tones of wood or certain tones of colors of cabinets,
Yeah.
that limits them.
So what about countertops? Granite, quartz, if you're doing a white, I mean, we all know there's some beautiful pieces of granite and
Absolutely.
quartz out there.
Yes.
Are you staying, with like a white or gray, not crazy,
Yeah.
the crazy granite,
Yes, absolutely.
colors, and so you want something
Yep, I keep it
subtle?
I like white. I mean, my
Yeah.
experience, I have granite counters in my own kitchen, but they're, the speckled, and I feel like they're sometimes hard to see if they're clean.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like a clean, white
Clean
with
look. Yeah.
some, splashes of gray in it are fine. Definitely been updating to quartz all around. Even in rental properties, I'll put that in there. You can get better rent sometimes. It's durable.
So you would choose, we're going down a rabbit hole now. You would
Sure.
choose quartz over granite.
Mhm.
Granite can hold the heat. If you
Can.
put a hot pot
It's
down,
true.
you're not gonna burn granite, but if
That's
you
right.
put a hot pot down on quartz, you're
Yes.
done. It's
That is true. I get a lot cleaner look with the quartz.
okay.
You know,
It does, yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
mean, it's hard to be as durable as a natural stone,
yeah.
but quartz is
You just have to be careful
I love
with
the quartz, yeah,
yeah, yeah, it is a
yeah,
nice look.
yeah.
All right, fun question time. What's the craziest or most unexpected thing you've ever found in a property?
So nothing horribly crazy. We've had everything from cars to tools to old toys that you would forget existed since your own childhood. I've seen all of that, but the kind of craziest thing was a house. It was 2 houses on 1 lot, and
Okay.
it was a hoarding situation.
Oh,
And you went in and I saw a lot of it. There looked to be a lot of clutter, and I had a giant budget for cleaning that house out. I mean, I think our budget to clean the house out was about $12,000. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. The
wow.
basement was full, the upstairs was full. There was paths through the house, and when we closed on the house and went in and started looking at what was there, it wasn't junk. It was hardly any junk. And so
Really?
we ended up opening it up and we sold everything, and we made money cleaning it out. It took us about 2 weeks to clean it out as opposed to, maybe the half a week or week it would
Right.
have had to be someone to come in and do it, but, there were instruments in there. I think there was 2 pianos buried in there. There was basically a whole basement worth of sort of catering equipment that was brand new in boxes. There was
Really?
all sorts of old technology that, we found some contacts in the area that try to revive old technology for
Right.
sort of passion projects.
Did you ever find cash in a house buried in a wall or in an attic or in that typical
It's not
situation?
no, we've never found the exci we
Ah.
we we occasionally find the crusty dollar bill that's in the
Yeah,
wall or
right.
something like that, but never the
Never
never
hit
the
the jackpot.
I can't tell you how many safes we've opened up
Oh,
that
yeah.
are left behind, and, usually it's like a silicone packet or it's just,
Yes.
it's like it was bought and never used, or it's like their tax documents that they're saving on,
Yeah.
saving. It's
The
never anything that
disappointment when it
exciting.
opens, you're like,
Right.
"Oh."
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh, that's great. I love those stories.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
hearing those stories. Alright, so wrapping up in closing, if someone listening is thinking about flipping a house in 2026, what kind of person should actually consider doing this and who probably shouldn't consider doing it?
It's a great question. It's a whole mix of things. I think, people who are good at project management would be great at doing it. People who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Even houses where we've had full contractors in there, I always find that there's something I'm doing
Mhm.
to finish it or something that we find after the fact. So, kind of a mix of skills, but definitely the drive to push it across the finish line. If you're thinking this would be a fun thing in your mind watching HGTV,
Right. It's
that's
not
that's
fun.
gonna be the house that's costing you tax dollars and interest rates 2 years later that's sitting there not getting improved.
Mhm.
So if you're eager to do it and driven to do it and have some of those skill sets and aren't afraid to get your hands dirty, then that's probably the perfect person to do it.
And probably highly organized, right, if they're
Yes.
managing everything
Yes.
and knows how to budget
That's
and
right.
stay on budget.
That's perfect, yes.
Alright, and having that slush fund on the side just in
Never hurts
case those
anything.
unexpected
Yeah.
the house has to be jacked,
That's
surprises come up.
right. Right.
Alright. Is there anything that we're missing, Brian, that, our listeners should know about
I think that covers, at the high level, not looking at a particular house. I think that's a very good overview of what you can expect, what you can run into. There's a million spreadsheets people can find for calculating whether it's a good deal or not, and that's somewhat objective to what you're looking for achieving in that. Are you looking for experience? Are you looking to make the most money?
right.
There's a lot of things to figure out, but there's a lot of tools out there that people can find and a
Alright.
lot of good resources for
And one of
people.
them is you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys, if you're interested in flipping, give Brian a call. I promise you'll be in great hands. And thank you for tuning in for another episode of Real Talk with Sterling Real Estate Group.